Hi, and welcome to Hanaz Writers Podcast. My name's Charlotte, and I work as a Year 2 teacher in a primary school in London. If you haven't heard any podcasts from Hanaz Writers before, then have a listen on their YouTube and Spotify channels. You can search for them on both websites, and you can start listening to the podcasts that they have available. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about a well known author who has written some famous mystery and crime novels, and his name is James Patterson. As we are in the month of March, James was born on March the 22nd in 1947. So shout out to you, James Patterson, and happy birthday, wishing you the best. And this podcast is to talk about him and to celebrate his many, many works, his books, his stories, everything that he's written and shared with the world. So I think his books has been translated into many different languages over the years. So his first well-known novel series and novels were about a detective. Well, they are about a detective, and he's called Alex Cross. Now, Alex Cross is a homicide detective, and he's very good at his job. He's able to solve mysteries, and especially crime mysteries, and do it all while looking after his child and his unfortunately he's having a failing marriage in the story, but he's taking it on with grace and working through it with his wife. So James first introduced his character to us in a novel called Along Came a Spider, and this novel kind of launched Alex Cross's career, and he has since become a very popular character with his readers. And they now have I think James has written about 28 novels to date for Alex's stories. They even turned the stories into a television series, and I think you can watch them on Prime Video at the moment. And James has also written lots of other books and series and stories for adults. I think he's written a series called the Women's Murder Club series. So it's a group of women who, again, they solve crimes in their own way. He's written the Michael Bennett series, Billy Harney series. There's the Holmes, Margaret and Poe series. I think there's one called Jane Effing Smith and Heroes Among Us. And each of these novels and each of these stories, they have a huge following. And he's a very popular writer with his adult readers. Because of his crime stories, I've really enjoyed reading the Alex Cross novels myself. And I even read a few of the Women's Murder Club series. And I quite like how he ties the characters together. And it's one of my favorite, he's one of my favorite authors, so that's why I'm kind of celebrating him. Um, he's also written stories for young teens as well, not just adults. So he branched out a while ago to write stories for and novels for young adults and teenagers. And I was actually quite lucky enough to read a few as I was growing up. And his books include Maximum Ride series, which is about a group of children who, uh, unfortunately, they went through a scientific experiment and they gave them bird wings. And so it's all this genetic modification of people. And his story focuses on this group of children who have to live with wings, and they manage to escape from the science laboratory which is holding them, and they then start their journey to live on their own and to figure out life and to work out what on earth is going on, especially in the world. He's written a book called the Ali Cross series as well. There's one for Little Geniuses series. I think Daniel X, if anyone's ever read those ones. Dog Diaries and middle school books as well. So if you've never read any of these books, then recommend that you at least try reading one or two of these novels. You can start off with the adult teenager stories and then move on to the adult ones like the Holmes, Margaret and Poe. Again, they're all very crime based. Alex Cross again. So have a go, read through his books. I quite liked, again, I just wanted to highlight his writing style because I quite like his writing style. It's very particular. And I find that his chapters are quite short, which is quite nice. And they're about 2 to 3 pages long, even. So I quite like his style of writing. And even though they're 2 to 3 pages long, they're very relevant to the story. Like you'll read about the characters and their points of view. And I don't know how he does it, but every chapter, every so often, he manages to write in the point of view of a different character in the story. And he's able to just capture them and their thoughts and feelings in that moment. So I think that's what I really enjoyed most, because he was able to manage to do this in a very particular way, but it moves the story along. So I think that just really caught me when I was reading his stories, and I really liked it. As I said, I used to read Maximum Ride books, and I actually found them really fun. They were really easy to read, especially as a teenager. And they were quite relevant because they were about a group of kids, and they were different in a very particular way because they had the bird wings. But, it was, again, them going through life, dealing with different things and overcoming obstacles. And, as a teenager, you're also overcoming obstacles and getting through life. And it was just like a fun, nice book to read, and it was nice to escape. And I think as well, he managed to get the books created as a graphic novel with a manga artist, and I really loved reading those as well. So he had written the novel before, and then as it got popular, he collaborated with a manga artist, like a Japanese drawer of manga, and they created the books from novel into a graphic novel comic book series. And it was actually very nice, and I really liked the design and the art style. It was very beautiful. It was a really lovely kind of transference from the novel into a graphic novel. So because of the short chapters as well, the books just didn't seem very long. They were long, but because the short chapters helped to break up the book a little bit more. So it was a great read. And then when I read his novel series for Alex Cross and the Women's Murder Club series, it was the same kind of writing, and I just really like it. His writing from different viewpoints allows you to really get into the minds of the characters. So if you're ever stuck of writing your own story, you could take a page from his book and try to get into the heads and minds of your own characters, and then work out what they could be thinking, what are they feeling at certain points in the story. And I think that this method then help you as a writer to work out how to move your story forward, especially if you get like writer's block. So just before I finish writing, just before I finish this podcast, I'd just like to say again, happy birthday to James Patterson, and also to give him my own personal thank you for all his hard work. All these stories and different things and novels that he writes are just amazing. So thank you for writing them, and thank you for sharing them with the world. Thank you for sharing your writing and your unique style of writing as well. Well, that's all for this podcast, and I hope that if you've enjoyed it, you'd like to listen to more, then like and subscribe to Hanaz Writers YouTube and Spotify channels. Thank you for listening, and until next time, bye!